All right. Hey, everybody. It's Bill Has Opinions time. We are live, and I realize that we need like a theme song or something, but I actually haven't figured out how to do that yet. So
I'll write
we'll
one.
just we'll write one, which is great, but I also haven't figured out how to put it on the show. So we're going to work on that.
Just have a speaker right next to the computer and just hit the phone.
That's an option. So, of course, everybody, this is Bill Has Opinions, where having opinions is both a hobby and a sport. And I'm Laura Lavoie, and I'm joined, of course, by Bill Perkins, who has opinions. So welcome to the show. And welcome, Bill. How are you?
I'm good. I'm mostly good. Yeah, I don't know. I'm anxious today about something, but I don't know what. That's how anxiety works.
Yeah, that's the worst. That's the worst anxiety, though, because everyone's like, "What's wrong? Are you okay?" I'm like, if I knew it was wrong, I'd be fine.
And I'm guilty of it because normally I'm not anxious, and my wife is anxious, and I'm always asking her, "Well, why are you anxious?" She's like, "I don't know." If I knew why I was worried, it wouldn't be anxiety; it'd be something else.
Exactly. But speaking of anxiety, there's a surefire cure for that. What are you drinking?
Oh, I'm starting out with this guy. It is a Wicked Weed Watermelon Sour Burst.
Yes, I've had that on this very show.
Yeah.
Well, how do you like it? Because you don't like watermelon.
Well, it's good, but it's the addition of the sour burst that makes it okay. Like, it's not. I don't really hate the. I don't know. It tastes more like watermelon candy than watermelon.
Yes, I was gonna say that it's like a Jolly Rancher.
Yeah, and watermelon candy is not the same flavor as watermelon, so.
Right, that's fair.
It's like that. Well, and then I also later on when I drink that, I've got a Pisca blueberry wheat.
Ooh, so you're going all fruit today?
All fruits, yes, because it's summertime, and also I'm on a diet, so I'm just drinking fruit.
Yes, it's very healthy. The healthiest beer you can drink. I am a little homesick, and also I'm going to be in Asheville starting tomorrow. So for the next 6 weeks. So I decided to go a little homespun with Highwire Brewing Low Pitch Juicy IPA.
Nice.
Which is not technically fruity, but it is called a juicy IPA, and it is citrusy. So let's say that it is.
Sure.
All
it gets from hops instead of from actual fruit.
Right. And hops being it's a flower, which fruit come from, right?
Right, yeah.
So, and oddly, a member of the cannabis family. So, in fact, useless information for you. All right, but this show is not about cannabis or hops, for that matter. Not at all. Well, I guess we could probably make it related if we tried. That's true. So today's show, for everybody tuning in, today's show is on hobbies. And as you might imagine, we have some opinions on this. So, of course, feel free to comment along, play along at home. We would love to hear your thoughts as we go on. So, Bill, what is a hobby?
I guess it's a pastime that you enjoy. Would be the simplest way to say it. I didn't actually look up the definition. I don't know. I mean, I know what I've considered hobbies in the past and currently, but I don't know what the definition is. Pastime, something to kill time, right?
Yeah. But hopefully something you enjoy. And I've also come to realize that hobbies often require the spending of money.
Oh, yeah.
No matter what it is. Like, even if it's the most low-key hobby, you're spending money doing something.
Yeah, probably. Even like if hiking is your hobby, you're going to go buy like an $80 pair of hiking boots.
Right.
And one of those fancy sticks,
Right. Because otherwise you're just walking. But even if you're just walking, if that's your hobby, you're probably buying nice walking shoes. You're not just walking around all barefoot and stuff.
I guess, yeah.
I assume there's some there's some monetary investment involved.
That's the caveat that makes it a hobby. You're doing a thing if you can spend money.
Yes. And here, Jay has a point. Jay Hicks from Detroit, Michigan, tells us that rock collecting is free.
Au contraire, one of my first hobbies was rock collecting. And unless by rock collecting you just mean the piece of shit rocks you find outside, sure, okay. But anybody who really cares about geology is going to want other things that you can't find locally. So when I was a child, that was one of my first things. My hobbies when I was a child were mostly collecting, okay? I had a rock collection, I had a stamp collection, I had a coin collection. I was really into that kind of stuff, just having lots of things. And the rocks, though, most of my rocks were probably polished stone that came from, a kiosk at the mall or something. But then I would also, when I'd go to like science museums, I would end up buying like an $8 crystal or something. And so I had these really nice like amethysts and quartz crystals and pieces of obsidian and peacock ore and all that nonsense. And you can't find that out in the yard. All you're gonna get out in the yard, wherever you live, there are probably two kinds of rocks. That's it. You know what I mean? Like right now where I live, I could find maybe granite and quartz. That's what I can find. And one granite rock goes look pretty much like any other granite rock, and one quartz rock is going to look pretty much like any other quartz rock. I mean, once in a while you find a really nice piece of quartz. I will say that. Like you'll find some pieces that are like more clear or more white, But I don't know. I'm just saying, like, yeah, you either have to travel to seriously rock collect, or you're going to have to purchase minerals offline or from a store, and therefore you will spend money. So, Jay, au contraire, I say to you.
Well, and I would add something to the definition of a hobby and that you spend money on a hobby, because what makes the difference? What is the difference between a hobby and a job? Like, if you do a hobby, like say your hobby is knitting, but then you sell scarves at a craft show, is that a job or is that still a hobby?
I'd say it depends on what you still enjoy. Because here's another funny tale of days gone by. So when I was a child, I also really enjoyed art, and in that pursuit, I decided to go to art school. And I went to art school, and while I was in art school, I fell out of love with art because it ceased to be a hobby and started to be a chore or a job, or it was a potential job. And I realized the more I did the art for someone else, as opposed for me, the more I didn't like it. If I had to think about, will this affect another person? Will someone buy this? Does this meet a deadline? Does this meet a criteria? Those things made me hate it. And so I graduated from art school and immediately stepped out into the world of IT because I no longer gave a shit about art. And I took up, then at that point I took up music. I took up music hobby after that because I still needed an outlet. I still needed that thing that I enjoyed doing, that gave me creativity and whatnot, but wasn't a job. So I did that. And I've never really thought about pursuing music as a job because of the experience with art. Like I've always been like, I make my music, like if other people enjoy it, great. I enjoy it. So that's really what matters. And then I would say my art degree, I kind of have channeled into like the costuming thing. Like obviously there's an aspect of design that goes into that and having to creatively think about how I want to make this thing or whatever. So I use my art degree in a sense, but I use it for costuming now instead of for actual I went to school for printmaking and I have not made a print since 1995. So
Well, fair. Well, so I find this discussion really interesting because, like, my whole life, my single hobby and my single driving, motivating thing was writing. And I wrote, like, I was the kid that was always with my head in a notebook and I was just scribbling. And I wrote like 300-page vampire novels by hand, and they were shitty, but I did it. No, I did not. No, of course, it was long before that, but of course they did not sparkle. Okay. But because I've got opinions on that. Those are not vampires. There's something else. But
that's an upcoming show, vampires.
I could talk for a while on vampires.
Talk for an hour about vampires.
I was obsessed with vampires for a while. I had tons of books, but it was a hobby at the time. But so growing up, obviously writing was a hobby, but it was also the only thing I could imagine myself doing. And then I graduated, I went to college, I graduated, I was told by a number of people that writing was not a practical job. So I got a practical job that I hated, and I kept writing, but I really wanted it to be my job. So I quit my job and I started writing full time. And the writing I do is, you can't even call that a hobby, because what I do to get paid is not like, nobody chooses to write about welding gloves. But if they get paid to write about welding gloves,
I'm going to go ahead and stop you there and say somebody probably does lovingly write books about welding gloves.
True. Also, I'm going to go Google welding glove fan fiction after this to find those people. But I still write fiction, and I guess you could still call that a hobby. But my ultimate goal is to publish that fiction, so it's not a hobby. So my hobbies are not writing. Writing is my profession. Writing is what I do.
You still love it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think
100%. But I also get I get paid for it.
But do you make money?
I make more money than I spend on it.
Okay. Well. Okay. So you're saying once it flips and it becomes profitable, it can no longer be a hobby.
Well, I think it's. I mean, I think, and actually, this segues very well into our station break. I think that in some cases, that when you can do the thing you love and earn money, then it transcends both hobby and job.
Okay, great. Now, some people say if you love what you do for a living, you never work a day in your life, or something like that. Now they say what is it? I don't know, like do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. And I always jokingly say that's because nobody will pay you for that shit.
Right, and so Jay asks, right, and Jay asks, if your job is your hobby, is it your passion? And I would say, while that's a kind of ridiculous buzzword, I would say yes, it probably is.
It still be your hobby. Like once you lose the passion for it, it's no longer a hobby.
Right.
And to that end, so I want to speak on something for a second because this is interesting. Recently, we were having a discussion with one of the kids about what they would do with their life, and what they liked, what their interests were, and we're talking about culinary school. And I actually went through a period of my life where I thought about culinary school for a minute because I was living in Charlotte at the time, and Johnson and Wales moved from Charleston to Charlotte right about that time, and I'm aware that in addition to being a really good cooking school, that they also do placement, which is kind of a exciting thing for me because I've never had that. Like nobody's gone to bat to get me a job, right? Like so, I always thought, oh, that's great. Like they'll actually find you a job after you get out of school there. I was actually mildly interested in it because I was kind of getting bored with being an analyst at the bank. I was working for a big national bank in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I was kind of tired of it. I didn't see where what I was doing was making a difference in the lives of other people, not in a positive way anyway. We're foreclosing on you, but running an interest rate up on you, putting you in debt. But I'm working for the evil corporation, and I don't want to do this anymore. And I'm trying to find something like. I felt like, oh, this will make a difference to people. and I really at the time enjoyed cooking as a hobby. And I was thinking about it, you know, and I was listening. There's a show on the local affiliate there in Charlotte of PBS, a show called Charlotte Talks. Pretty good show. Comes on around lunchtime. And I was listening one day, and they had some people from Johnson & Wales there to talk about things. And one of the things I remember the host asked, "What's the biggest misconception about culinary school?" And one of the students said that you should go to culinary school if you love to cook. And he said, because if you love to cook, you should cook. If you go to culinary school, it's a job, and you're going to do a lot of things you don't like doing, and it's going to be boring and stupid. And I was like, oh, dog, that's perfect. I knew, like, that's totally, like, that's not true for everybody. Like, somebody like Laura can follow your hobby as a passion and make it work. But for somebody like me, once it becomes my job, I'm not going to be interested in it anymore. Like, then it's just drudgery, right?
Right.
So, and that's to say, like, the thing, like, I'm still in IT right now, and I still work, like, I work with data. And I think I take, like, my creative juices and sort of apply them to the way I look at data, right? But data is also one of those things I can just walk away from at 5 o'clock, like when somebody pulls the quitting bird, I'm like, I'm out of here, yabba dabba doo, and I don't have to think about it, right? It's just a job for me. I don't go home and pull up spreadsheets and go, woo, spreadsheets, I love them, because I don't.
Although, like you said, people are writing fiction about welding gloves. There's somebody whose hobby is spreadsheets.
Oh, somebody loves that shit. Yeah, but not me. Like, it certainly keeps me entertained enough for 8 hours a day. Okay, and I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. It's just good enough to get a paycheck.
And that is Bill's opinion. And also, so to bring this to our station break and specifically give a good friend of ours a lot of praise for being able to take his passion and turning it into his job and knocking it out of the ballpark every time. Our friend Ianlino and Ianlino Designs. Specifically, you can find them at geekorthodox.com. And he does a lot of the, I'm not currently wearing one of his t-shirts, but we often do. He designs t-shirts that are fun, like sci-fi mashups or geekdom mashups. But he also does this amazing stained glass work that is just, you can't even describe it. So if you're looking for some art, definitely check out geekorthodox.com. And check out somebody who absolutely turned his passion into a business, because it is incredible stuff.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Me and my wife argue a little bit about it because so he makes these like these clings of his stained glass work, and they look good when you stick them on a window, but she'd be happy with the clings, whereas I'm more like, I'd like to save up money to get an actual stained glass piece somewhere. So that's just me. It's because, well, also that was my granddad's hobby. He did stained glass work, and his stained glass work was kooky and weird, and not in a good way. Like it would just make you go. And then so he learned to do stained glass, and then every house every window in the house became stained glass. There wasn't a single window in it you could look out of anymore. And except through maybe like a small piece of clear beveled,
right.
Other than that, but it does kind of like, it is kind of endearing to me in that manner that, because my granddad was into it, and now Ian's into it. And so it makes me want an actual piece of stained glass and not the clings, not to diss on the clings, because if that's what you can afford, and if you like them and whatever, that's great. Fine. If it works for you, it works for you. I'm just the kind of person who I always want to, if there's a thing, I want the top notch of the thing, right? Like I'm going to spend the extra money and get the nice thing.
Absolutely. And we actually own several of the clings, and we like them. but yes, they are not the real thing, but they are very nice, and especially for like that entry level buyer, especially since Ian does a lot of conventions and things, and not everybody's going to be like, hey, let me commission a $1,400 stained glass piece or more. But so it's a great product to have, and he also does the designs on T-shirts, which is super cool.
Yeah.
But I am putting it out there right now, and I've already mentioned it to Ian and his wonderful wife Tammy, who are good friends of ours, that I am going to commission a piece when we move back to Asheville. So there will be an Ianlino original at my house.
Nice. I wanted to mention also that one of the people who's commissioned work from Ianlino in the past is Mr. John Barrowman, who played Captain Jack Harkness on Doctor Who and
Torchwood.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. We actually Ian teased us for a while because John Barrowman comes to see him every time. Whenever they're at a convention together, John Barrowman will make a beeline for his booth and come over and speak to him. And he's never gotten John Barrowman's autograph or gotten a picture with him. And we're always like, dude, and he says, I just want to bother him. And we're like, he comes and interrupts you. You're doing business.
Right. He loves it. He loves that shit.
Yeah, get a picture. Yes, he would. Yeah, he'll grab your ass while you take a picture.
And don't you want that?
Don't you? Why wouldn't you? Listen, everybody else has to pay $200 to get their ass grabbed while they take a picture with this guy. You're at your booth all day. Take a damn picture, put it on your website, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah,
we have sort of given them grief over that.
Yeah. Take a picture with Ian next time we see him.
Yeah, dear John Barrowman. Open letter to John Barrowman. Take a picture with Ian and Tammy next time you see them at the Geek Orthodox booth at whatever convention you're at. Yeah. And that is our station break. All right. So let's get into the meat of things. Bill, tell me, we've talked a little bit, but tell me some of your favorite hobbies. What are the things that you really enjoy doing?
Well, I'm still into music a lot. I like playing music. It's probably my biggest. Craft beer, I guess that's a hobby. I call myself a foodie. I've actually heard a comedian say, you can't really like foodies. What the hell is that? You have to eat to live. That can't be a hobby.
I disagree. Au contraire, I disagree.
No, the difference is in how much. And I've got an aside about this. Okay, the difference is, I think, between a foodie and a person who eats to live is a foodie really loves the eating, right? And maybe we eat a little too much sometimes. That's why we're yo-yoing on a diet bullshit. Because I eat to enjoy the food, Right. I like the taste of things, and I like the presentation of things and all that. But I want to throw this back. When I was in my formative years, there was a romantic comedy on cable TV called Green Card with Gerard Depardieu and Andy McDowell.
That was one of my favorite movies when I was a teenager-ish, I guess.
I would put it in my top 5 romantic comedies, which I probably only like 5 romantic comedies.
That's another subject.
That's another thing. But it's one of the ones I like. And the thing I love about it, there was a scene when Andy McDowell's character was describing Gerard Depardieu's character. And she said, he eats life. And I thought, that's what I want to be. I want to eat life. And what she meant was he lives everything to the fullest. In this movie, she's a vegetarian, and he is not a vegetarian. He's very anti-vegetarian because he's from France, and he's very into food, and he loves the flavor of things. And he's like, well, how can you enjoy everything if you're a vegetarian? And not just vegetarians, but if you're a foodie and you love food and you enjoy the flavors of some of the meats, oh my God, they're so delicious. And it's just, I got the passion that this guy was coming with, right? about the way he approached life, food, but also other things in life, because he was passionate about a lot of things, and that's what made his character lovable in this movie. Anyway, that I think that was like what set me on my path to being a foodie, was that movie, because of that character. I mean, I already enjoyed food. I was a chubby kid, I'm not gonna lie. But I grew up in a small town in South Carolina, and we didn't have a lot of like choices. You know what I mean? Like I mentioned before, I think maybe the only thing that made me really open-minded about eating was the fact that my mother was a single mom working all the time. So I ate a lot of Stouffer's food, and I bought Stouffer's food that we didn't have. Like I bought frozen meals of things that we wouldn't have as a meal in South Carolina, like Swedish meatballs. That's not a thing people in South Carolina eat, right?
Salisbury steak.
Salisbury steak. Yes, exactly. These are not things that are native to that area, but I would buy them and eat them because I just wanted the variety. And not to say that anything frozen is the best way to have a thing, but it's my mind. And then when I would travel, and I would take road trips even as a teenager. As soon as I got my driver's license, I'd get in the car and drive to Charleston or Chapel Hill or something, And I would go to Charleston, and I remember I went to Charleston and I went to an Indian restaurant for the first time when I was 18. I was walking down the street. I liked the smells that were coming out of the place. I walked in and I had a meal, and I was like, damn, that was some good stuff, I went to Chapel Hill to see a Dead Milkmen concert, and while I was there, I stopped at a Lebanese restaurant, and I had tabbouleh for the first time. So that's the kind of person I became because of Gerard Depardieu and Green Card. And that's why I consider myself a foodie. And that's why it is a hobby, and it's different than just sustaining life, right? Like, because I could eat rice and beans every day and live, but I don't.
Right. And there's money. You're spending money to do that.
Oh, I'm spending loads of money.
Exactly. And I think because I'm with you on craft beer. Like for me, craft beer is a hobby, and I actually did try to transition that into some sort of job, but again, you lose your passion for it because I started making beer, and I'm like, oh, making beer is fun until it wasn't. And then I'm like, I would just rather go drink beer. That's the whole thing. Why would I do that? But I was like, there's nothing I can make that's anywhere near as good as, something like this.
Yeah.
But especially in Asheville, there are 15 places in walking distance. So why would I go through all that?
Yeah, you can't swing a dead cat in Asheville without hitting a brewery.
You cannot. You cannot. But also, like, it's the same thing. Like, you can eat to live, whatever. Like, when we go, I mean, definitely drinking beer will eventually get you drunk, right? But my goal is not to get drunk. My goal is to have a bunch of really good beers and try them and taste them. In fact, it stops being fun when you're drunk.
It's true. It's funny. I was actually having this conversation earlier. So I started Noom this week because I'm trying to lose a little weight.
Yeah, I did that. I really liked it.
Okay. So, and my coach was asking me about it. What's the hard thing for you? And I said, the hard thing for me is cutting out beer. And I said, over the weekend, I drank tequila instead of beer. And she said, well, did that work for you? And I said, well, I got a buzz, but I didn't enjoy it in the same way because it's not just about, like you said, it's not just about getting drunk. That's definitely a plus. I do want the buzz. I enjoy that. Like I drink. Yes, I drink to ease, like to forget about my stress or whatever. But I also enjoy the taste of craft beer. That's the reason I drink craft beer and not crap beer.
Right.
If I just drank to get drunk, I could drink anything. But I don't drink to get drunk. I drink to enjoy myself. And I said that was the difference between having a shot of tequila, which gave me a buzz, and I enjoyed the buzz, but I didn't enjoy the shot of tequila in the same way I would have enjoyed a pint of beer.
Right. I'm with you 100%, which is why I'm cracking open a second beer. It's funny. So people will say things, but one of my other hobbies is also a drinking event. I've gotten really into Tiki Culture, which is part drinking. Obviously, the Tiki drinks are a big part of it, but then there's also this kind of cultural element around it. And there's several offshoots of it too, because you've got that like exotica, or you've got that like Jimmy Buffett kind of beach thing, which neither of those things are my thing. I like this kind of narrow, like mid-century modern aesthetic for tiki bars or tiki drinks. But I will travel to tiki bars. I will try making drinks at home. I will do, and I think that's a hobby. And it costs some money, so that qualifies. And eventually, soon, within a year, we're going to move back to Asheville, and we've got this big outdoor, well, not a small outdoor space, and we're going to turn it into a tiki bar, so all our friends can come have tiki drinks with us. And that's a fun hobby. Like, that's a hobby you can get real deep into if you want to.
Hey, speaking of, in the last 2 weeks, I had this really nice rum from the islands because one of Emily's coworkers was in the Caribbean and brought back some rum, and boy, that was some good rum, I gotta say. So, yeah, and
when you get into the rums, just like craft beer, once you get into rums, and then and the whole it's another whole new world. It's super fun, but again, it can get expensive. It just can be overwhelming.
Oh, never mind. I'm going to save this for something that's extra some other time, maybe. I don't want to go there yet. I'll talk about it later.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, I think we share a lot of the same hobbies, which is legit why we're friends, right? Because we like cosplay, we like drinking beer, we like things like that. We like watching TV, we like movies, we like comic books, stuff along those lines.
Yeah, we're often sending each other suggestions for what to stream next. Laura, people might not know this, but Laura watches so much TV. I don't know how she does anything else in her life. I will text her after I finish binge watching something. I'll say, hey, this was really good. You should check it out. She's like, oh yeah, I saw it already. and like it can be something with like 10 seasons, and she's already seen it all. So, and I know she probably watches like 4 times the amount of TV I get to watch. And so I don't know how she accomplishes anything else in her life.
That is the question. No, I can make enough money to support myself. Like, how do I do it? I don't know. One of the tricks is I don't always pay attention. So there's a whole bunch of series that I've watched that I don't entirely pay attention to because I'm doing other things.
You watch the show while you're watching the show, right?
I do. I watch a show where I do a bajillion other things while I'm doing it. Matt says I have a time turner, so clearly that is correct. That is, I am Hermione Granger. That's what I do.
Just give me time to watch more TV.
Yeah, exactly. I don't use it for good. That I get all my work done and then I'm like, I'll watch some TV. Oh wait, I'll watch some more TV. Let's do that. So I binged Gilmore Girls the first time, probably in like a month and a half, and that's 7 seasons. But half of the time I was doing something else while I was watching it. I'm like my mother-in-law in that instance. My mother-in-law was an amazing woman. And she had her own business. And she would have, because she lived alone, she would have her TV on full volume with just like DVR recordings of CSI. And she wouldn't watch any of them, but over the course of her adult life, she watched all of them at some point. It's just she would watch like 10 minutes here, a half an hour there.
It's like when you watch a rerun of Bill and Ted's in like 15-minute intervals here and there on cable.
Exactly. That's exactly
every other Saturday,
Exactly. So I do want to mention this, and I think one could add my watching TV as a hobby gone wrong, because I do watch a lot and probably too much. But you know what? I'm okay with that. But hobbies gone wrong. Like, and specifically, like, has there ever been anything you've invested so much time and energy into that you realize, I mean, not on like art, although we covered that you realize somewhere along the line that you're like, this does not please me. Why am I doing this?
You know what's interesting on that line? We spent a pretty good amount of money investing in leather work supplies, and it's not that I don't want to do it, but because leather costs so much money, I'm actually afraid to start because I don't want to screw something up. So it's there's a lot of things. I probably own $100 worth of leatherwork tools. I own, oils and dyes and things of that nature. I've got a roll of leather that probably cost me $75, and then various other smaller pieces of leather that cost me whatever they cost me. So yeah, I've got like $300 tied up in leatherwork, and I haven't really done. I haven't even begun. I've fucked around at best. So here's the thing. I took industrial arts in 7th grade, and we did leather work as part of industrial arts, and I was pretty good at it, I thought, But I tell you what, it's totally different doing something on the school's budget or I don't know. I'm sure we had to write a check for $25 to take industrial arts, but anyway, there was no, I don't know, it wasn't my money, so there was no like fear of screwing up, So that's been my biggest like setback is like, oh my God, like once I start trying to tool this leather, if I fuck it up, it's fucked up, right?
Right. There's no going back.
But every time we go to the Ren Fair and I see like some piece of leather shit that I want, and it's like $600, I'm like, I'm not paying $600 for that. I can make that myself, So that's the whole reason I have this shit, right? Is because I can make
a vicious cycle.
make that myself, but I'm not gonna. Let's be honest.
Well, I think there's two things at play here, right? I saw a meme once, and I'm sure you've seen it too. I've come to the realization that crafting and buying craft supplies are two different hobbies.
Right.
Right? But then also, yeah. But then also, I think to the point of buying things at the Renaissance Festival, what ends up happening is you look at it and go, oh, that's a great $300 piece of something, but I don't want to. I can make that for whatever. And then you start making it, and then $700 later, you still don't have a finished product. And then you should have just bought the $300 thing.
Why buy any? Yeah, there was a meme, a craft meme, I think, that said, "Why buy something for $7 that you can make for $93?"
Exactly. That's why hobbies have an output of money. They also have an output of time and energy usually. So, yes. And so, okay, I want to ask this. What is the difference between an interest and a hobby? Like, for example, I like cats, specifically 2 breeds of cats, the Sphinx cat and the Devon Rex. I collect pop art of these weird breeds of cats. Is that a hobby, or is that just an interest? Like, I like these cats, so I collect these things.
I mean, I think the collecting makes it cross into hobby, but I don't know, like, because I don't know, interest. I don't know. I feel like maybe hobby is an interest that's been percolated a bit. Like interest is the kernel that becomes hobby later. If you pursue the interest, you might start to pursue the interest and go, you know what? I'm actually not that interested. It turns out. There have been things in the past where I thought I was interested in it for a minute, and then you start to wade into it. Yeah, it's a lot of money to spend, or I don't know, it's a lot more work, or a lot more reading that I want to put into it, or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think that's it. I think interest is a subset of hobby, but hobby is when you take an interest and run with it, right?
Right? No, yeah, that's fair. And like I think if I did, for example, Sphinx cat pop art, like if I created it myself, that would be a hobby, but I don't. I will, when I see it, I will buy it, partially because you don't see it very often, because weird hairless cat, who's making that art? And I own all of it. So, but then there's the weird flip side, and I know you get this too. When someone knows you have an interest or a hobby, they begin sending you all of that shit.
Right.
And we've done it to each other too. Like you sent me like, here's a Sphinx cat art thing I found. I'm like,
I'll send her a Sphinx cat thing, and the thing that happens to me is because Batman is one of my interests. And here's the funny thing, yes, like what you said, and I think this is, I don't want to completely discount it because on one hand, I think the friends who love you and actually get you will still send these things to you. But the family members who don't really get you, it becomes a crutch, right? It becomes I don't know much about Laura, so I'm going to get her a Sphinx cat thing because that's the one thing I know she likes. And most of it you probably don't give a shit about because it's kind of bad. It's whatever mass-produced bullshit is available at Kohl's, in the gift section at Christmas time when your family member is walking through and sees that goes, oh, that's Laura.
Exactly. And I imagine, yeah, because I bet you get like the weird Batman shit. Like, yeah, thanks. Like I didn't need a Batman soap dispenser, but now I have one.
Yeah, exactly. It's just some random shit with the 1989 Batman logo, the yellow and black oval slapped on it for fucking marketing purposes. And I'm like, first off, I like Batman in the way that I want to be Batman. I don't want to own a bunch of shit with the Bat logo on it. Do you think Bruce Wayne's house is full of this shit? No, because people are gonna come over and go, "What is Bruce Wayne character? Sure, there's a lot of Batman shit all over the place." No. And I'm like, anything, even if it was in the Batcave, it would just be black and utilitarian. It wouldn't have the fucking Bat logo all over it. Like the only thing he puts the Bat logo on are shit that he like when he throws the Batarang at you because he wants to know who stabbed you. The fucking Batman stabbed you, right? Like that's put your eye out. It was the goddamn Batman. That's a calling card thing, right? That's all it. But he doesn't There's no giant ass Bat logo on the front of the Batmobile. There's no. Everything that he calls the Bat this or that doesn't have a Bat logo on it. Like the Batarangs and the front of his chest are about it. That's really what he has the fucking logo on. He doesn't have it on the Bat computer. He doesn't have it on the entrance to the Bat cave because the dude's trying to keep a low profile. But this shit, my family members, they're at Kohl's or whatever, and they're like, oh, hey, look, underpants with the Bat logo on them. Let's buy those. Those are totally cool. I mean, I guess whatever. I might wear them, but I don't know.
I have a clear memory. So my older sister, college and right after she graduated college, so I was still pretty little at this point. She's a lot older than me. She collected hippos. And of course, everybody bought her a goddamn hippo. Everybody. She had, at some point after she got married, she's like, please stop buying me hippos. I literally have no more room for hippos. But then, because I am her sister and we are, I was in South Africa where there are hippos. And I found a legit South African art hippo thing. And I bought it and I brought it back. And I'm like, I know you put a moratorium on hippos, but I think this one's kind of special. And and she liked it. And yes. But I think there is there's a difference between this is a hippo, so I shall buy it for you. versus this is a hippo I genuinely think is a good addition to your collection.
Yeah, I'm not trying to think about it out. I think there's Batman stuff that people could do that I would love, right? But that person's not going to be my aunt. First off.
Exactly.
You do make me wonder whether your sister ever wanted a hippopotamus for Christmas.
She got hippopotamuses for Christmas all the freaking time.
That's awesome.
Somebody did buy her like the 45 of I want a hippopotamus for Christmas, which, if you're going to go with a hippo themed gift, that's a pretty decent one, right?
Yeah, I used to collect vinyl also as a hobby. Now, I want to go back and touch on collections as a hobby for a minute, because I want to say this is what put me off on collections as a hobby. You move a few times, which we've had an episode about moving, but you move that collection a few times. Like don't collect as a hobby until you're in the last house you're ever going to live in, because a collection, basically, what you're saying is, I own a museum. Right? That's what it is. You curated this collection, and if you have to painstakingly box it up and move it every goddamn time you go anywhere. And you move that shit 3 or 4 times, you finally go, you know what? I don't need this bullshit in my life. So sorry, vinyl. I got rid of my vinyl collection a couple years ago because we moved it for the 5th time, and my wife was like, I never even see you pull these damn records out and listen to them. And I was like, well, you got me there. Yeah, I don't listen to them. I mean, because they're a huge pain in the ass to pull out, and you put them on the turntable, and you listen to them, and then you got to put them back in the little jacket and then inside the other thing. Anyway, so I got rid of my vinyl records. I have about like 20 left, but there were ones that weren't worth anything to anybody except me. Like there were like local bands that I have friends who are in that band, a handful of Good Milkman vinyl, and a handful of Camper Van Beethoven vinyl, which the person who's buying my vinyl collection didn't know shit from Shinola, so they wouldn't have cared, So I kept like this many, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Other things I collected. I used to collect. I went on road trips back in the day when I was like in college and stuff. And I used to collect little shot glasses just to buy at the gas stations around the country.
Right. Yes.
And my mom actually got me like these nice little shadow boxes you could put shot glasses in. And I probably had about 200 shot glasses from around the country. Man, I don't even drink liquor. It was a thing I saw everywhere I went. I was like, well, that's a good thing to buy. They're like $2. Everywhere you go. Me and my wife have actually started doing the thing where we run the penny through the little crank when we go places.
Yes.
And the tourists, and I guess we're collecting them, although we do it like once every 3 years, and I don't know where they're at. But so the only other thing I actually still own a collection of right now, I had a pretty reasonably large size collection of action figures of Batman and other superhero action figures. And I did move those in the last move. That's the only thing. That's the only collection I'm still moving. I will say this: I don't own collectible action figures. I don't own anything that's worth any money.
Right.
I basically buy them at thrift stores and yard sales, and they're all like Happy Meal add-on, like that kind of shit. Like it's all cheap shit. So if it got destroyed, I wouldn't if it fell off the shelf and the dog ate it, I wouldn't even cry. I'd be like, I'm out nothing. So that, I've got a little pile of that shit. But I don't, it's in a box right now. It's not even been put up at the new house because I don't know where we're putting it, but that's the only collection I still own. But I will say,
think it's fair.
Go ahead.
Well, no, what I will say is, I think it's important to note, and this is like life tip, it's okay if that collection you had once no longer brings you any sort of value or joy, to give it to somebody or somehow pass it on to somebody that it will. Like,
Yeah.
I was, us being a very Gen X show, I was the most Gen X girl in the world. I had these Breyer model horses, which every other Gen X girl in the world knows what they are. And I had a shit ton of them. And I moved them with me a whole bunch of times. But like, they never were on display after I graduated high school. Like, they were just in boxes. So at some point, I'm like, somebody else can get some joy out of these. But I did keep one because, again, it's a memory and it's, something important. So, but if it no longer serves you, don't keep it.
Yeah. I want to say about collecting as a hobby. I think the reason you do it is honestly, it's to speak to other people. It's kind of like you know how like when you have like a record collection or a book collection, and you put them out there. It's so when other people come over to your house, and our collection also. It's so when other people come over to your house, you're basically sort of manipulating the judgment they're going to make about you as a person, right? Like, because they're going to come over and they're going to see your art, your bookshelf, and your record collection, and they're going to go, "Oh, this is the kind of person this is." So it's kind of it's almost like like the bullshit you pull on your Facebook page or whatever, where you're a little fake and you sort of curate your life to make you look like the kind of person. In a way, it's the kind of person you want to be, not necessarily who you are, but this is the kind of person I'd like to be, right?
Yes.
And
I completely agree with that.
I totally have a section on my bookshelf. I said I didn't have but one collection. I guess I have the books still. I have a section on my bookshelf that's just books about Sasquatch. And I don't know if I believe in Sasquatch or not. I like the idea of it. Like, I want to believe in Sasquatch, but I don't really unless I actually, until I see one, I'm never going to like really believe in them, right?
Right. Like,
I like the idea of it, and it seems feasible. So, but I keep them on my shelf, so when people come over, they see them, and they think, "Oh, this guy's kind of the kind of nut who believes in Sasquatch,"
Exactly.
I'm open to the idea that there is a Sasquatch. I don't believe there is one.
And
I'm a Sasquatch.
For a lot of people, that is Sasquatching is totally a hobby. So you're kind of bridging some things there. But we are running out of time, and we've got a few things we got to finish up because we could literally talk forever about hobbies like we often do. But I do have an actual mailbag question that needs to be addressed. The question is, allow me to read it to you. Do you have any thoughts on wavy Pringles?
Not strong thoughts. I'd eat them. What is there a flavor, or are they're different than regular one? They're wavy.
They're just wavy. Like they're exactly the same flavor. The same like sort of, mealy, gluteny potato. But they're put in a different press, so they're wavy.
Okay, so my thought is they don't make as good of duck beef as the regular ones.
They would not.
That's the biggest difference, is that they would make a lousy duck beak.
I think that's fair. All right, so mailbag. Also, folks, send us your questions, and they could be stupid. So please send us all of your questions. If you want to ask us about Pringles, we will answer that question.
Yeah. No question is too stupid for me.
So, which brings us to things that are extra. Bill, what do you have for us this week?
I want to talk for a minute. And this is what I meant to talk about last week when I lost my mind and forgot what I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about the prolific nature of of discount cards or discount apps in modern society. Like when it first happened, I didn't think much about it because it's like, oh, well, I save 10% with this thing. But then after a while, you wind up with that key. You have that keychain that you had 2 keys on, and you had 15 little plastic fobs that went to this, that, and the other thing. And then now they've switched it. So now, and for a while, actually, this was like when cell phones first came out, there was a brief moment where you could go snap a picture of your fob, and you could put them all into like one app, like and then that was it. Like you had this convenient app that had all your fobs in it. You could just scroll through and boop there on the UPC reader, and then the damn companies got like wise to everybody's got a cell phone. But every company on earth started an app, and so now it's the same shit. You have to have 15, 20 apps on your phone in order to save money everywhere you go. And it's goddamn ridiculous. Like, if I go into a store once every 6 months, I don't want to download your dumb app in order to get my coupon. Like, I should be able to have the coupon off your website or off your email or something. I don't need to have your stinking app taking up space on my phone. I mean, and I have maybe 5 of these shopping apps, but they're the 5 stores that I go into the most, right? Like they're only the ones that I shop at the most. Oh, so get this. Little Caesars made me download a damn app. So Little Caesars, home of the $5 pizza, right? It's hot.
Right, it's already $5.
It's $5. You may ask, so it's $5 and it's hot and it's ready. Is it good?
Right here.
It's hot and it's ready. And it's $5.
I'm from Michigan, and Michigan is known for Detroit-style pizza, which is good, and Little Caesars. So I am very familiar with Little Caesars.
I don't like Little Caesars. I actually like Little Caesars. It's the only pizza place I eat at. But so anyway, they come up with a damn app. And after they came out with the app, they no longer had the $5 hot and ready pizza anymore. They had a $6 hot and ready pizza that had like twice the pepperoni or twice the cheese or some shit, right? They want to charge you an extra $1 for that. If you want a $5 pizza, you can technically still have it, but you have to download the damn app. And what you have to do is you have to go to the app and pre-purchase a $5 hot and ready pizza. And then you show up, and there's this little box that's got your hot and ready pizza in it, and you hold the app up, and the drawer opens, and you get your goddamn pizza. It was so hot and ready. It was like hot cheese on tomato sauce action. It was that hot and ready. But anyway, so that's one of the apps I have downloaded because I don't want to pay $6 for a $5 pizza. Okay,
but cheese and pepperoni is not worth it.
No, and it's complete horseshit that I have to have an app on my phone in order to save $1 at Little Caesars. But yeah. So anyway, my beef today is I like retail outlets. This is the reason all the retail outlets are going out of business. Fucking JCPenney, Sears, all you guys, the reason you're out of business, making everybody download these goddamn apps. That's what it is, right? Like just lower the prices. You know what your margin is. You know how low you can go. Just lower it. Just like, hey, we got the lowest prices available without an app.
People would come. People would shop there.
Oh my God. Because you know what? People are paranoid about giving out their information. Can you imagine if you opened a new grocery chain and you were like, no apps, no cards. We just sell groceries and we sell them at a reasonable price.
Oh God, that place would be mobbed. Yes. All right. That is it for our show. Thank you, everybody, of course, for tuning in. And we will be back next week with more show on some topic. So that's it. Bill, take us away.
Yeah, so this show is engineered and produced by Laura Lavoie. The opinions that Bill espouses are the opinions of him and him alone, unless Laura shook her head in agreement, in which case then they're also hers. And then the ones that Laura stated that Bill looked maybe complacent about, I don't know. Maybe they agreed and he just didn't make it very clear. But he didn't collect horses.
That would be awesome if you did, though.
Right, if that was my thing. Turns out I was really into horses in high school too. I wrote fanfic.
You were a Gen X girl too.
Oh, all right. Well, we'll see you next time. We'll discuss my friend Flicka.
Perfect. I could list you a ton of horse movies. Like, don't even get me started. But all right, everybody. Tune in again next week. And of course, like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, and join us on Patreon. And share this video. All right. Bye, everybody.
Y'all come back now.
You here?